Hey everyone, I'm Dave Welch. I'm an executive license consultant within House of Brick OpsCompass Global Services. Today we're going to do a review of a deck that Oracle published in January of 2020 called Oracle Software Licensing Basics. They revised this deck in December of 2020. We're going to be reviewing the revision. There's the URL for Oracle's original deck. We reproduce these materials per U.S. copyright law fair use doctrine. As often as we take issue with the statement that Oracle is making here, we highlight that in yellow. Other text of interest we will highlight in blue. And as often as we add text to the screen, that's going to be white text box with black background. So let's get started. Oracle Technology Server Licensing Data Recovery Environments. Here we're talking about environments that would, for example, be an airline flight away. There's the first highlight. All copying, synchronization, and mirroring of the data requires licensing. That's a false statement. There is no such restriction in your contract. We don't license, and here comes a pun that's intentional. Your Oracle license is not data-based. Your Oracle license is processor-based. Quoting from the Licensing Data Recovery Environments document, which by the way is not a contractual document, it says licensing metrics and program options on production and data recovery servers must match. That's a false statement. There is no such statement in the contract. If you want to have your DR environment licensed in a different metric, say named user plus, and with far fewer processors than your production environment, that is your privilege. This blue highlight came into template contracts from Oracle in the November 2011 timeframe. The testing clause that allows you to test free of charge 4 episodes per year, no more than 2 calendar days per episode, was further restricted in November 2011 to disallow replication of executables. Why do I call that out? Because if you have any entitlement that you purchased prior to November 2011, you may be able to use that entitlement subset to bypass this restriction. And then this interesting caveat, not applicable in a virtualized environment. Seriously? The allegation is that there's something special about VMware that prohibits you from leveraging your 4 free tests a year for 2 days. The fact of the matter is, if you can do it in a bare metal environment, you can do it in a VMware environment. This is a false statement. Let's distinguish data recovery environments from failover environments. Oracle defines a failover environment as sharing a cluster and a SAN, all right? Notice the blue highlight. This is a new restriction in the failover environment, also affectionately known as the 10-day rule, that came in with Q4 2007 contract templates. Now the restriction is you can only have 1 unlicensed server in a cluster. It used to be that every protected node could have its own failover node. Here's another restriction in the same time frame. Once the primary node is repaired, you have to fail back to it. And this is interesting. The same license metric must be used for production and failover nodes, and the options must match. Again, a new restriction that did not exist prior to Q4 2007. Server partitioning environments. Notice Oracle's definition of soft partitioning. They, in their non-contractual partitioning policy document, include VMware expressly in this, and they say that soft partitioning cannot be used either to limit the number of cores that you owe a license on in a single individual server, or to cordon off a subset of servers in a larger cluster and only license part of those servers. You are not, these are false claims. The partitioning policy document is not referenced in the contract anywhere. And Oracle does not have the privilege to revoke privileges from the governing agreement using a non-contractual document. Notice capacity on demand. More arrogance on the part of Oracle. Supposedly, they're only going to recognize the number of enabled cores in a server when that server ships. It's a false statement. If you want to take that server down months or years later and reconfigure the BIOS to limit the number of cores that are enabled, that is your privilege. If you want to use VMware CPU Affinity to limit the number of cores that you license, obligate for Oracle, that is your privilege. I will say that we have issues with there are some risks associated with VMware CPU Affinity. Check in at our website to see what those are. And then again, I highlight the partitioning policy document because it is a non-contractual document. More of the same on slide 16. Notice this interesting statement. Oracle does not have a separate licensing policy for virtualization deployments of Oracle software for on-premise licensing. End of quote. The implication here is because the contract doesn't expressly discuss VMware or hypervisors for that matter, you can't. And Oracle is arrogating to say, we're going to make up our own rules on the fly for that. That is a ludicrous, illogical assertion. Did Oracle come on site and interview you at the time that you purchased your Oracle license entitlement to approve the services that your entity provided or approve the workflows that your entity used? And just because they didn't expressly approve those, that you now can't use your Oracle license in your enterprise? It's a ludicrous assertion, as is this assertion here. Soft partitioning, again, highlighted. We've dealt with that previously. Notice the blue highlighted statement. Virtual environments are licensed within the parameters of the metric definition. Okay, it's a throwaway sentence, no argument. And then once again, their attempt to limit virtualization to have its own special licensing rules compared to bare metal based on the partitioning policy. Shared storage, this gets interesting. Notice their highlight in the heading, non-virtualized environments. They're trying to imply that the rules are different in bare metal compared to virtual. Let's get into it, okay? Notice their example on slide 29. I'm going to take scenario B, the blue highlight. I have a shared storage device with WebLogic installed on it, mapped to servers 1 and 2. On a different shared storage device, I have Database Enterprise Edition mapped to servers 3 and 4. And slide 30 makes clear you have a licensing obligation for 1 and 2 for WebLogic only, and 3 and 4 for Database Enterprise Edition only. Well, the clear implication of non-virtualized here is that if you're virtualizing, you've got to license all products on all 4 servers. That is not correct. All right, the last one that we'll highlight, and we have issue with 9 slides out of Oracle's 30 content slides. That's substantial. Notice here the scenario says I've modified forms. The following slide claims that due to modifications, I have to get full use licenses for what were all the restricted use licenses of Oracle Core Technology underneath eBusiness Suite. Well, that's not correct. The application licensing table is integrated into the contract, and if you've modified forms, you only have to license additional technologies, but database is not one of them. I could give you other examples, and what follows is not a comprehensive list of some of the shenanigans that Oracle will attempt to pull off during an audit. False positives, features that were enabled that you didn't even know that you were using, or you may have used them inadvertently. They'll try to trump up licensing liabilities during an audit. Claiming that you owe them a processor metric on every last one of your servers, even though during the audit you may have been very clear that some subset of your servers have other metrics like named user plus. Oracle coming along and the salespeople trying to play good cop, bad cop, telling you flat out or implying that they're not coordinating very carefully with Oracle LMS, the auditors. House of Bricks experience and observation is we have all evidence that that coordination is thorough and immediate. We could give you other examples. A competitor of House of Bricks brought this document into the public domain at VMworld Barcelona 2015, at the time known as the Declaration of Non-Migration Amendment. Now, what goes on here is Oracle says, In a virtual environment, you need to share your technical boundaries with us, the specifications and exact configuration of your VMware host affinity must rules, DRS host affinity must rules, your vMotion VLAN boundaries, your storage mapping and zoning boundaries. When Oracle asks you for that information, don't give it to them. It has nothing to do with the audit. And once you give it to them, then they're going to advance this amendment language or something similar to it that says that if you ever down the road remove those boundaries, even temporarily, you now have an obligation to license all the remainder of your vSphere farm. Even those servers that, even though the boundary might not be there, are not yet installed and or running Oracle program VMs. And let me ask you this. If Oracle's base contract template did indeed obligate you to license your entire VMware farm, why would amendment language like this be necessary? Don't go there. Rather, stick to your contract's audit clause. Upon 45 days notice, Oracle may audit your use of the programs. What's the plain and simple definition of use? Where the Oracle programs are the servers that they're aligned to, and if Oracle dares go there, where they have been. That can be proven with no disclosure at all of your technical boundaries to Oracle. Oracle may come along and say, well, if you don't give us your boundaries, how do we know that when the audit's done that you won't move stuff over there? And the answer is, Oracle, you don't. If you want to figure out what happens with some future event, give us another audit notice 2 or 3 years down the road, and then we'll talk about it. House of Brick OpsCompass Global Services professionals are not attorneys, but let me reference again somebody who is. And since we're not attorneys, we don't give legal advice. Managing partner Pam Fulmer of Tactical Law Group did a landmark blog post in July of 2017, VMware Virtualization and the Oracle Audit. Pause the video for a moment and read her concluding paragraph. Pam meant every word that she wrote then, and she means every word she wrote now. If you're under audit, don't assume to take it down at home without supervision. Get help. What you don't know may hurt you. OpsCompass License Manager will help you with many of these issues, including catch drift that you may not even understand that you have underway. There are many services that we provide associated with your licensing needs, especially audits. We have the right people, we have the right process and methodologies for Oracle audit defense, and we certainly have the right technology. In conclusion, here are some additional references that we would encourage you to have a look at. Thanks for joining us. More to come.